Hi, my name is Brodie and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a little tour of my children's room in our tiny house. So this is something that I was definitely searching for a lot when we were looking at getting a tiny house, just kind of like how it functions, how to have multiple children in one space, as well as like creating a space where they can play and enjoy it, as well as sleep and all the things. So I hope you enjoy this and hopefully I answer some questions for you. And yeah, let me know any thoughts, or if you have any comments or questions, leave them below and hopefully I can answer them in the next video. So our children are currently 5.5 and 3.5, so this year both of them will be turning 4 and 6, and so our children are 2 girls and they share a room, and they're very comfortable with sharing a room. Like, our children aren't the kind of children that we're like forcing to share a room. They do most things together. We also homeschool and they share a lot of their life together, and they also really love snuggling and cuddling at nighttime with us as well as with each other. So this was kind of like a perfect fit for us. I don't know how it would work in terms of like later on when they grow up a little bit more and they need more space, but for now it is only our plan to live in a tiny house for like 5 to 10 years kind of max. So this space is really, I think, perfect for their age and where they're at. So our youngest can stand fully up in this space. When you walk up into the room, you walk up the stairs and there's like this full standing space where I can actually stand up, and then you kind of go up and it goes into like a loft area. And so in that space our 3-year-old can stand up, but our 5-year-old can't quite stand up. So usually it's a space where they sit down or they're on their knees, and for me, when I'm cleaning or moving their mattresses and things like that, I'm usually just on my knees, and like it's not a big drama or anything like that. I think a drawback to having a space like this would be if you are needing to constantly move things around, and like the way that we have set up their room with their bed specifically, if you're needing to move things around, then it can be quite tiresome on someone who maybe has lower back pain or like neck pain, things like that. For me, I'm still in my 20s, like I'm very capable, lucky with my health and things like that, so it doesn't really bother me. So what we decided with their room is, instead of getting two proper mattresses that are kind of like fixed in, we wanted to create a space that could allow them to move their bed out of the way and have that space as like a multi-functioning room, so that they can play, they can get dressed, and they can also play with their bed. So we decided, instead of normal mattresses, to use what we already had, which is actually their play couch, and it's called the Possum Play Couch. And so they like to build forts with it, they like to move it all around, build houses, like all kinds of things with that. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 thing where they can have it as a bed and they can also play with it. So that really works for us right now. And if you're wondering like what we do with the sheets and things like that, when they are playing with it, they usually use them in their play. So they'll have it as like blankets, or they'll cover the top of their fort with a sheet to be like a cubby house. So in terms of how that looks daily, what I'd say is most of the time when we're there, not every single day, like I'm not gonna lie to you guys, not every single day, but most of the time what I will do is combine the two mattresses together and pop it to one side so they have the rest of the space, so that they can play, move around and enjoy their space as much as possible. So when it gets put as a bed, it is almost like a double bed, so we can all kind of squeeze in there for story time, cuddle and all the rest. And yeah, it's very functioning right now. I don't know again how it will look in a few years time, but right now it's perfect for us, and it really just gives us that option to open up the space without having to actually be taking things away like in and out of the room constantly, especially for such a small space. I feel like this is kind of like the answer to our problems right now. And also in terms of comfort, the mattresses are really firm, and even though they do fold, there's no like divots where you're feeling uncomfortable and things like that. Like, I personally have slept on them, my husband has slept on them, the girls sleep on them, so they're pretty comfortable and cozy. So it's not something, again, like that we're looking to change anytime soon. So this tiny house well, specifically this room doesn't have any built-in storage. The best way to combat that is, one, by us not having much stuff at all. So majority of their toys is actually downstairs in the cupboards in the walkway, but they do have a basket which is like pretty empty in this clip, but the basket is usually what they fill with like their teddies and Barbie dolls and things like that, and they were playing with that at the time that I was filming this downstairs. So sorry that I couldn't really show you, but it usually is packed to the brim with their toys. Then they also have this secondhand dollhouse which I got from an op shop. I think it was like $15 or $20, and they love it, they really enjoy it. Fits perfectly into the space without being like too much, and they also move it around as much as they want. And again, like, I love that it's secondhand because it doesn't matter what they're doing, like I'm not too stressed about them breaking anything. That does stay in the room, they've never actually brought it out of the room, so it works perfectly right now. Like, it doesn't feel like there's too much stuff in there. Again, with storage, and something that I was really looking for when we were looking at getting a tiny house, was where do I put my kids' clothes. So we have tried to reduce the children's clothes as much as possible. We do have two kind of wardrobes, so we have a winter wardrobe and a summer wardrobe, and in Australia obviously it gets very, very hot, specifically in Queensland where we are. It gets very humid, so honestly, like, majority of the time my kids, even myself, we're not wearing much clothes. So this is super easy for their summer clothes. We haven't had to do winter clothes in this section yet, but what we do with their winter clothes is we kind of like pack that all up nice and neat, and I actually have that stored in our caravan cupboards, so it's not feeling like there's too many things. Again, here specifically you cannot see the clothes, so I apologize about that, but I was actually packing up because we were heading back to Brisbane. So yeah, again, like, I only have like a few different outfits for each of them, a few tops, a few pants, and swimmers, undies, nighties, and then some dresses. So it's super easy, very light clothing, specifically because it is summer right now and majority of the time it is hot in Australia. So what I do is kind of like Marie Kondo that, and I just roll them up and they fit really well in this space. And I got this contraption for like, I think it was $30 from Kmart, and honestly it was the perfect size. Fits there nicely, nice and neat. They can see everything, they can get their clothes ready themselves, and it creates like a space where they're feeling independent, but also super easy for them to maintain as well as me, and yeah, not too overwhelming. And my plan moving forward with their winter clothes is that I will put like their jackets and warmer clothes in a cupboard downstairs in the kitchen or in like the walkway, and then it will just be like their pants and tops and dresses in this section. So yeah. So my kids love books, so what I have in their room right now is just one box, and it just kind of gets swapped around. We are living in between Brisbane and this area, so what we do is we kind of like swap the books around each time and take some here and keep some there. So at the moment that's worked really well. When we have all of our books there, I'm sure we'll have to probably reduce some, and that's fine because honestly we only get them from the op shop for like 50 cents to $1 at a time, and the girls can get bored of the same books over and over. So that's kind of our idea with that. I'm also hoping to put a little shelf for some books in there moving forward as well, but I have that in Brisbane and I haven't had a chance to put that up. In terms of everything else, like, that is majority of the storage in there. It's not obviously a lot of storage. I think if you had a lot of toys, a lot of clothes, you would probably find it difficult, but I think that the whole idea of tiny house living is reducing and keeping it bare minimum, quality over quantity, and yeah, we're just really enjoying it. It just feels like we have so much more time for ourselves, for the girls. Like, I love that it's multifunctioning, that they feel like they can, you know, it's their room, they can move things around, and it's not like this big thing or this big deal, and everything is kind of in that room easy to move around as well. So yeah, and in terms of their lighting, they have one light in there and it's a like dimmer light, so they can turn it up and on. They love that. Wouldn't you freaking love that if you're 3? They do not have a bedroom door at the moment, and I don't think I'll probably put a bedroom door in there at the moment, or for a while at least. They do have these blinds which they can easily open and shut whenever they want, and We don't have a fan in there either, but they do have 2 windows, which kind of creates like this flow of air from both sides, which is really easy and nice. And the windows also like open out sideways, so that if it was raining, we can still have the windows open without water coming in. And then in terms of like heat and dealing with the heat, obviously I think this is like a question for a lot of Aussies here, is, you know, we don't have a fan in there, but we do have an aircon, and we have a fan in the main section of the house, and that honestly circulates, because it's a tiny house, like it circulates pretty well. On the really hot days we do put the aircon on, and the girls' room is right next to the aircon, so it easily woofs through there, and it can get pretty cold pretty fast actually. So we have to turn it up sometimes. And going back to their door, they really wanted this brightly coloured sparkling, I don't know, door thing. I don't know what it's called. You know, part of me was like, I don't know about this, like we're gonna see this our house is so small, like we can see this from the seating area, but I try to remind myself a lot, like this is their childhood. You know, kids aren't really interested in aesthetics, they just really want things that are bright, happy, colourful, and make them happy. And so that's all that really mattered to me in those moments. And they really love that they do have this thing on their door, because it does feel like it's kind of separated from the main space. And one thing that my 5-year-old does is she's like, okay, I'm entering the magic world, and like peeps through. So yeah, it's really special, and she loves to just like peep through and feel like she's like crossing worlds. And I just think that's really beautiful and pure, and I just want to allow that space for her as much as possible. So yeah, I'm really grateful for how it all turned out. And if you want to know more, have any more questions, like please let me know in the comments below. Give this a thumbs up if you want to see more like this. I will have a full tiny house tour coming very soon, so make sure you subscribe so that you can be notified.